Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of the AFK Hour podcast. I'm your host, jlucio, and today we have NABJR
Yo.
and StevieRay.
Hello.
The last two podcasts were kind of heavy, so we decided for this episode we're going to have a less serious conversation. We're going to give our recommendations for movies from several different genres. We're doing this because for some unknown reason, we find ourselves with a lot more time to binge watch movies or shows. At this point, you might have already seen everything you wanted to previously watch, and you're looking for new suggestions? Well, we're going to try our best to fill that void and give you our favorites. The first on the list is going to be action movies. My recommendation is going to be the 2014 film Fury. This is my favorite action movie. I love it. It has Brad Pitt, it has Shia LaBeouf, other renowned actors as well. It's about a tank squad in World War II, so it's filled with a bunch of action. And it shows like the gritty side of the war, like the very end when all the soldiers are very demoralized and they just want to go home and they can't wait for the day that the war ends. The director does a really great job portraying that. I don't know. Also, Brad Pitt. Something about Brad Pitt portraying a soldier in World War II is like he was meant to play that. Like ever since *Inglourious Bastard*, when he played a character in that movie as well from World War II. That's just who he was. Like he was able to resemble or portray a character from that era very well. My second recommendation is going to be the 2015 film Sicario. This film may not have as much action as Fury, but it still has a lot of action. But the thing that this movie thrives on is it's very suspenseful. And it's an action thriller film. And it stars Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin. So these actors, whenever they're on scene, they just do a great job controlling everything. And their acting is very convincing. So Fury and Sicario are my two recommendations. And if you haven't seen these films, these are really great films. And you should go out and watch them if you haven't.
Yeah, I would personally. So I guess I'll start off with I'm a very action guy. And I don't have a lot of plot all the time. So mine would start off with being John Wick 1. The first one, John Wick. John Wick's pretty much just about a guy that loses his dog and his wife. And then he just goes on a rampage and kills everybody. I personally really like it. It's pretty much headshots everywhere. But it's Keanu Reeves, and there is John Wick 1, 2, and 3, I believe. And I personally like all of them. And then the second one I would say is IP Man or Ip Man. It's on Netflix. And I really like that one. It's not in English. You just read subs. But it's just a fighting movie. Essentially, I don't remember what time it is in the movie. But that's when pretty much everybody... martial arts was the biggest thing, like in Asia. And weapons was very new, or like guns. And so people are training to be like the best, like the base fighter. And so there's a guy that knows Wing Chun, and he's like really good. And so he pretty much just fights people, but he goes through like this whole story, and it goes up and down. And it's also really good, in my opinion. It's a lot of fighting. It's just if you like fighting stuff, I think it's a really good movie. And there's also IP Man 1, 2, and 3, and 4, I think. But that's what I would say. I really like them.
Cool. So I'll go next. So I really like movies a lot. I'm actually a real big movie buff. So for action, this one's kind of a mix between drama and action. But I put it down for action. It's The Departed. I personally really love The Departed. Has Mark Wahlberg, Jack Nicholson, and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a great like twist turning action drama, and I just really enjoy it. And then for my honorable mention, I have The Matrix. When The Matrix came out, it was probably my favorite movie by a long shot. I've watched it countless times, just so many classic scenes, and it still holds up today. And just we have got a lot of what action is today based on The Matrix.
That's when Keanu Reeves became America's sweetheart in The Matrix.
Basically, that little baby face.
Yeah. So I mean, I've watched John Wick. I love all of John Wicks 1, 2, and 3. They're all amazing.
Yeah.
IP Man. I haven't seen that movie. I had a roommate a while back, and he would watch it like every other weekend. And I'm just like, man, you really like this movie, bro. Like, there's something amazing about it. He's like, oh, bro, you have no idea. It's a really great movie. And I was like, okay, well, like I'm not gonna watch it though, but good to know, I guess.
Yeah, I really like it. Like I've watched it a lot of times as well, and I also like tear in some moments, you know. And I'm just like, this is just amazing. But I like watch it a lot. Every 3 months or something, I just rewatch.
I remember when Ip Man first came out. Like it was one of the very first like Netflix movies where it's like word of mouth like kind of traveled. That's how I heard it. Oh, you gotta check out this movie. It's on Netflix. You know, like that was like one of the first ones. But I thought it was really great. And then John Wick, out of all the franchise, I still hold number 2 as the best. It's one of the very few movies where I will say that the sequel is better than the first. Only because like the sequence with Common and Keanu Reeves, it's just so good where they're just like trying to shoot each other in the streets and like just the entire
right?
yeah and then the entire like whatever that is, like castle scene where they're singing the music and like the bass is going and the blood's pumping. It's like, man, this is awesome.
I think
a lot of good moments.
My favorite John Wick is probably number 3. I really like the third one, and like I agree with you. This is one of the few movies that the sequels are better than the original. I don't know. It's something about the horse killing that person and then John Wick killing a freaking giant. Like that stuff is really cool. Like I was like, my mind was blown. I saw that. I was like, whoa, John Wick stepping up to the next level, bro. Like this is awesome. So I was really amazed by the third one.
I mean, it's okay to be wrong sometimes, but
oh, okay.
I felt like every movie, like they always try to step it up. Like they try to add new ways of him killing, and so personally, I always enjoyed it.
They had doggos in the third one.
Actually, I really enjoyed the third one. I did not like the villain of the third one because if you guys don't know, the villain of the third movie, like the big badass like martial artist guy, he's like the Iron Chef America guy. He's the one that tells you like the secret ingredient. He's like, it's sushi. and like that's his entire acting career. So, and it just felt weird to me. Like he didn't seem like a big baddie. I would have rather seen somebody like who is it, Donnie Yen from Ip Man, like go against John Wick. But maybe they're saving. I think that they're gonna save for some special stuff in another sequel.
Sure.
But yeah, but I agree. They did have some cool moments, like with the horse and the doggos, and Boban, former San Antonio Spur, Boban Marjanovic, the giant.
Have you guys seen Fury and Sicario?
I actually haven't.
Oh my god, man!
Would you believe it? Hold on, I gotta see if I can find it. I believe I have Fury still in the packaging. I bought it a long time ago because I used to work at a video store, so I bought like a whole bunch of videos, a lot of which I've never opened, but I just bought them because I know that they're good movies.
It's because ever since Inglourious Bastard, Brad Pitt was meant to play a World War II like soldier on the boots on the ground person. So like when he reprised his role in a World War II movie, like I was just like, damn, like this is it. This is what he was meant to do. Like just a bunch of like gritty stuff. Like it's about the very end of the war. I don't know. Just the fact that they were able to get all these actors and they all seem miserable, and they portrayed it like, because usually whenever you think of World War II movies, it's probably glorified America's winning, all this America, hell yeah, brother, right? But this one shows that all these soldiers were really like demoralized at the very end. They're just worn out, and it showed like the real version of war. But at the very end, they glorify it again, and hell yeah, brother, America #1. They start killing all the Nazis. But it up to the ending, it was really good. But I don't know, like I really love Fury. That's a great movie.
I think I watched it, but I mean, it was aight, but it's not like my favorite. Like, I'd rather watch Saving Private Ryan. I know it's probably like different, but when I think of like those type of movies, that's what I think, like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. How about Sicario? Have you guys seen
Sicario,
Sicario?
I think I watched it, but it didn't catch me. I don't know. I was really pumped for it, but when I was watching, I think if I remember correctly, it doesn't have a ton of action. It's more of actually just showing everything that's actually going on. And like I said, I'm actually very an action guy, so it didn't catch me as well. But I think I saw Sicario 2 come out, and I was actually gonna watch it because I tend to watch like most movies. But I think that's one of the few that I still have not seen.
I mean, it has Thanos. I just before he was Thanos, the actor. I forget what's his name. Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Right?
Brolin.
Yeah, Brolin. And it has the Punisher, John Berthal, right? That's his name. I'm gonna butcher all these last names. But yeah, like they had like a A-list cast, and I loved it. It was really suspenseful and like a lot of action. Well, Nick's the type of person that loves action every second, and
Yeah.
for me, I like action, but as long as it goes with the plot, then it's gonna be like it goes. It's good for me.
Yeah, you know, John Wick's very good at just the plot, you know? And just boom, 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 there goes the plot.
It makes John Wick, the whole entire John Wick franchise are action movies for action movie fans. I mean, they just do everything right with those scenes.
For The Departed, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen The Departed, so I don't know what I'm missing.
It's a great movie.
And for The Matrix, I've seen it. I recently saw it. I was just like, oh, this is a classic now because I mean, it came out early 2000s. And I would hear people talk about it all the time when I was growing up, and I'm like, I don't see what the whole hubbub is about. So then I decided to watch it recently, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, this movie was probably amazing when it came out, but right now I'm just like, oh, okay, it's pretty good. But I can only imagine how you felt when you saw that, Stevie. When you were like younger, watching in the theaters, your mind must have been blown.
Yeah, like so they set it up. It's like oh, here's the Matrix, but then like they had the like you knew it was gonna be a trilogy, like because they after they announced the first one, they're like, all right, we're gonna have Reloaded and Revolutions come like right after, and so I just remember like it was so hype. Like it's like, oh man, what's gonna happen to the next one? And then the last one, when the last one came out, like honestly, like the last one I think was really cool too. But I had to put the Matrix on here first because of like just the like nostalgia value, and then just like I'm rating a lot of these movies on how they made me feel when I first watched them, versus like how they like maybe how they are in general. So yeah, The Matrix made me just blew my mind when I was younger.
Yeah, personally, I don't think I've watched The Departed either. And of course, I watched The Matrix, and I pretty much agree on what George said. Like, I mean, when I watched it, I thought it was awesome. I mean, I still think it's pretty awesome, but like now compared to things we have, right? I mean, I still really liked it, and I really like it was ahead of its time and everything that I was doing. But just like I said, if we disregard like tons of movies that are now the new thing, or like the newer version of this, then I would say that is really good. But I still really enjoyed it. It was a really good movie.
Sounds like I know what we're watching for our next movie night. I gotta school you guys on The Departed.
I mean, that's good. I mean, I'm down to watch The Departed. Like you said, I'm gonna take your word. I'm gonna hold your word. And if it's good, then I'm gonna continue to listen to you. But if it's trash, then I'm never gonna listen to you.
All right, guys. So out of all of our picks, what's our SavePoint pick for action?
SavePoint pick for action. Huh.
We all talked about one movie a lot. I think that's the one that should go, but I'm a little biased.
Are you talking about John Wick?
Yes.
I will go towards John Wick, but are we gonna label John Wick as a franchise, or are we gonna say a specific one? Because I'm pulling for number 2.
I'm
think
pulling for
the
number 4.
franchise.
For number 4.
I think with the franchise.
All right.
I mean, I think you would want to start at the beginning, even though I think you can start you can technically start with number 2, but I feel like you want to get the complete story. Like you'd start at 1, then you go 2, and then you go 3. But I would say franchise.
Okay. All right, fine. So our save point pick is for action is going to be John Wick. All 3 of them.
That's +1 for me, boys.
Okay. So now we gave you guys the best. Now, what's the worst action movie that you've seen?
Yeah, I'm really bad at honestly selecting the worst action movies. I ended up just going with The Hunt. It recently came out, and I was really hyped for it. But when I watched it, I was kind of sad. It was more comedic than action based, so that's why I selected it. And Cloverfield, I selected for 2 reasons. 1, because George loves that movie. 2, I don't like how the camera, just the camera work in that, even though according to George it was ahead of its time and everything.
Hell yeah, it's ahead of its time. I don't even want to get into this, dude. You're stressing me out, bro. You're stressing me out.
But I just went with those 2. I know I didn't say too much about them, but I personally find it really hard to find bad action movies, even though I can watch an action movie and be like, it was not John Wick, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, so my pick for worst action movie is Suicide Squad. I hated this movie. I watched it, and it's come on TV more recently, and I just couldn't sit through it. I don't like Will Smith as Deadshot. I think he plays the character completely wrong. I think Margot Robbie is cool as Harley Quinn, but I think she plays it up way too much. And don't even get me started on Jared Leto's Joker. That is the worst Joker in all of the Batman movies. That is the worst Joker I've ever seen, and probably I hope ever will see. They want to reprise it. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I do not like anything about Suicide Squad. I really loved the Arrow franchise, the TV show Arrow. I loved their rendition of the Suicide Squad. I thought all the characters were great. I thought the story was great. Just everything about the few Suicide Squad episodes that they did, I thought were really good. But just the movie version, DC version of Suicide Squad was too Hollywood. It was like let's just get all these cool actors, throw them together and make a movie. But I don't know, it just did not work for me. Bad.
Okay. Those movies were pretty bad. But the worst movie of all time, at least for me, it's called Venom. Venom 2018. That movie was straight trash. I despise that movie with a passion. It's so awful. The story doesn't make sense. At 1 second, he's in he hates the host. What's the actor's name? I forgot his name.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he hates Tom Hardy. And then they it goes off clip for they do a 5-minute montage of stuff. They're doing stuff, and then they're best friends. What the hell happened in minutes? They're now they love each other. And at first they're oh, if you mess up, I'm gonna eat you. And then he starts comforting him when he's on top of a building, saying, "Oh, back in my home, I'm kind of a loser too." What the hell happened? What? It doesn't make any sense. And then halfway through, the writers were just "Oh fuck, we need to finish writing this." So they're gonna be in a spaceship and they're gonna be fighting there. And just to make the audience even more pissed, we're gonna make it very hard to distinguish all the villains from each other since they're all blobs. And I don't know, this movie was complete trash. The writing was bad. The only saving grace was the actor. I forgot his name already.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. I know. I understand he's really famous and he's a really good actor, but he was the only saving grace because it seemed like he was trying his best to do the character. But other than that, it just fell on its face for me. It was just trash.
So who was the worst Venom? Tom Hardy or Topher Grace from Spider-Man 3?
I like Topher Grace version more, in my opinion. Oh, no, wait, Tom Hardy's better. Wait, what am I saying? That movie gave me brain cancer. I'm not even thinking properly. It just gets me so angry. No, Tom Hardy did a way better Venom, like without doubt, in my opinion.
Oh man. All right, what's gonna be our save from these picks? What's gonna be our save point worst, or can we come to an agreement?
Wait, can I just say something about Suicide Squad? I agree with you that it's a really bad movie. It kind of felt like a bunch of music videos combined into one giant movie. Because like I don't know if you noticed this, but like in the first 20 minutes, there's just a bunch of random songs that they don't connect, they don't flow well together, and they're introducing each character. So it kind of seemed like each of these characters were like its own music video, and then they just made it into one giant compilation. And it was really weird.
Yep, it's Suicide Squad, the soundtrack, the movie produced by MTV.
Basically.
and Spotify
For the hunt, I was disappointed like Nick. The only reason I was disappointed was because I was following like their media and like their posting and stuff like that. And originally they were gonna show this movie in 2018, but it was too quote unquote controversial and it was ahead of its time. So they decided to omit it and release it recently. And like I was just like, oh man, like if they just delayed the release, it must be really good or it must be controversial. It wasn't. It was nothing like the trailers depicted. Like, okay, people are whatever. It's a comedy, blah blah. So I was really disappointed on that factor. Cloverfield is probably the second best movie of all time. Okay, because first off, it was directed by J.J. Abrams. Back then, he was trying to make a name for himself. 28. I remember it's 2008 or 2007 when it came out, and that was when all the YouTube boom was coming up. Because 2005 is when like really like YouTubers became famous, blah blah, and then 2008, that's when they became popular and stuff like that. So this is where the original capture footage came from. Well, this is what made them mainstream because there was the what's it called the one with the witches, that movie. Say the
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, the Blair Witch Project was the original found footage movie, and then J.J. Abrams took that premise and then enhanced it, and that's what you saw, in my opinion.
I just remember the ad campaign for that, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's gonna have like, oh, we want to see like they're all gonna die, like it's gonna be like that." You spend the whole movie looking for this monster. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. You see like an eyeball, bro. Like it was you don't see anything. And I just remember like everyone in the theater was like what the hell?
You're like, where's the monster? We've been waiting the whole time.
Exactly.
I do remember that people did have to step out of the theaters because there was a lot of people with motion sickness in the theaters because they weren't used to that kind of film genre.
I just think there wasn't enough payoff. I guess so. But I was disappointed.
I mean, it wasn't as bad as some other movies on this list, in my opinion. But I mean, that's my opinion.
I know you guys don't like this, but in my personal opinion, I think those other two movies were fine. They were not the worst I've seen. I feel like I said, right now I can't really think of the worst. I just put these two because they come up recently. But to me, Suicide Squad was, I turned off my brain, I just watched it. I was like, oh, okay, action movie. It was like, Venom, I don't really remember too much about Venom. I know I watched it too.
Yeah, because it's trash. You don't remember anything.
But I just remember what like George is saying. It's just like people being mad. But I was like, it wasn't that bad. Like, I don't think it was bad enough for me to be mad. But like I said, to me, like you just throw some action on it. And as long as it's not like complete garbage action, then it's passable. But that's just my opinion on those two.
All right, so Nick's vote doesn't matter, and what? So George, what do we vote?
Oh no, I want to say my vote's gonna be for mine, Venom, because that one doesn't have a story.
All I hear is that we're not gonna be able to come to an agreement.
I hear it too. Let's move on.
Okay, so
no
the
vote
next...
there. No points.
Yeah, no points for no one for the worst movie. So the next genre is gonna be horror / thriller.
So I will say I like to watch horror movies, but I feel like no movie has actually been scary for me. I put The Conjuring because I feel like I actually enjoyed that movie, even though it's been a while since I've watched it again. But I really liked it when I watched it. So that's pretty much why I put it down. But I feel like I personally haven't been able to get scared by a movie in a while. And that's how I see horror movies. Like, can you scare me without the jump scares? Because usually those will get me. Or to some extent they will. Not all the time. But yeah, I put The Conjuring.
For me, I decided to go with movies that people saw on like for trailers, but they didn't go watch it. So like I try to pick movies that weren't very common that people seen. So my first one is gonna be Ready or Not. That one came out in 2019. Essentially, it's just about this girl who is gonna marry into this very wealthy family, and they own a board game. They own a board game company.
Franchise.
Franchise. And the whole premise is that the family made a deal with the devil, and in order for her to be welcomed to the family, the devil needs to welcome her to the family. So in order to do that, they have to play a game, any like card game or board game, any type of game, whatever the devil gives them, they have to play. If it's a game of cards, then she wins or she survives and she can be part of the family. But if it's hide and go seek, then she has to hide for her life because the family's gonna kill her. And if the family does not find her and kill her within dawn, before it becomes dawn, the whole family dies. So I mean, it's a thriller, but it's also a comedy because like the whole time the family's just like considering like, what if all this curse jumbo, like it's just BS? What if there's no curse? And like they start making jokes and stuff like that. But in the end, like there's like a big spoiler, so I'm not gonna say anything. In my opinion, it's really worth it. It's a really good movie, and I'm pretty sure like most people didn't go see this movie. My second choice is Hereditary from 2018. Now this movie is great. I love this movie so much. This movie was one of the few movies that actually got like freaked out because of the scenery. Like like there's some visual imagery where they put on the screen like corpses or decapitated bodies to unsettle the audience, and they do a really good job. This has to do with a bunch of cults. This movie's about cults and whatnot, and the whole atmosphere of the movie was very heavy. Like you felt like someone's gonna come up behind you and like just spook you any moment now, or someone's watching you. And I actually like, this goes again with one of my roommates. Like he was so scared of the movie, he could not watch the last 20 minutes of it because it was that scary. Like he was so scared that he couldn't watch it. So those are my two picks.
Well, as for me, I really love the Saw franchise, just in general. I picked as my favorite horror movie / thriller as Saw, the original Saw. Mostly just because I remember the feeling I got in the theater watching that movie for the first time. I remember watching it with my friends, midnight screening on October 31st, and it was just so exciting. Like it was something like you were just like, man, what's going on? It's like, oh, they got him, and then there's the big twist at the end. You're just like, oh my god! It left me wanting more because it's like, oh, like what's gonna happen? And it was just like, it was just ridiculous. It was stressful, and it was just like what's gonna happen? It's less of like the scary like the jump scare, like oh man, like there's those moments, but it's more like the suspenseful stuff, like it gets your heart going. And for my honorable mention, I picked more on the thriller side. Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is like the most stressful movie I have ever watched in my life. Like, I walked out of that theater literally sweating because I was so just engulfed in this story and just beyond stressed out for Adam Sandler's character. Oh my god! Just I saw it again recently, and I don't think I could. I don't think I even watched the whole thing. I was just so stressed out. It's just like it just gets your heart racing so fast. It's ridiculous. But highly suggest it. If I'm not mistaken, it just hit Netflix recently, so go and watch that.
So I mean, I've seen The Conjuring. I really like The Conjuring. That's a really good movie. The actors did a really good job, and I think that honestly skyrocketed Blumhouse. Right? Aren't they Blumhouse films? The Conjuring. I'm pretty sure they are. But yeah, like Conjuring was it's a really good movie. I haven't seen Uncut Gems, but I hear it's really good. So I need to watch that.
Yeah, like I think you're right about The Conjuring. Like I think The Conjuring kind of like brought a little bit more eyes back onto the horror genre. Like it had been kind of very samey, and then they did something different with The Conjuring, and which I love the original Conjuring, but we'll talk about some of Blumhouse's other.
Yeah, personally, I seen Ready or Not. I like that one. Hereditary. I watched it, and I was super excited for it because everybody kept telling me about it. And then I watched it, and I mean, what I have to say is like the main character or the lady, the mother, I think, like she's scary looking. Like in my opinion, she just looks scary the whole time. But the movie's not really scary. The only thing that got me is like one or two scenes in the whole movie. And it's not because it was scary, it's because it was disturbing to see, like some of those scenes that happen in that movie. But I thought it was alright. I haven't seen Uncut Gems. I thought I had, but I was mistaking it for another one. And I've seen some of the Saw movies. I don't know if I've seen them all, but they're pretty good. But after the first one, or maybe the second one, I was like, okay, I don't know if I really want to continue just watching all these weird different games, even though they're interesting to watch, but then at the same time you're like, I don't know, like they're just gonna chop this up and then this is gonna happen. I don't know. Even though I think that's where also escape games came from.
Escape rooms. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, escape rooms.
I think I really enjoy the Saw franchise. But you're right. Like there's some hits and there's some misses. Like the most recent one that they just did, which was Jigsaw, I thought that was a really great movie. It kind of like brought a lot of things home, and Chris Rock is actually producing the latest one, which is Spiral, which is supposed to come out this year. So hopefully it still comes out this year. So I'm actually really excited about that. But we'll see.
So I agree with Nick. With Saw, like I feel like once you've seen the first 2 or 3, you're just like, okay, I get the premise. But I understand that the story it's linear from all the it starts from the first one and it goes on, and like the characters develop and stuff like that. So like it's always changing, and you learn plot twists from, like, let's say you see number 4 and then something happens from the number 2 and that you didn't know. So like they all combine with one another, unlike some other movies that they don't combine at all. For The Conjuring, I like I said previously, I really like The Conjuring. I like the whole premise of just spiritual stuff, like devils and like demons and stuff like that. Because I guess since I'm Hispanic, I come from a Catholic household, this was very real to us. Like we believe in all these things. And we believe in like brujerias, which is like witchcraft and stuff like that. But the reason why I enjoy Hereditary is not because like the typical like jump scares. There's not that many jump scares in this movie. It's just like a slow burner where like Stevie was saying about Uncut Gem, like you feel really stressed. This one you'll feel really suspense, like you're just like, oh snap, like someone's gonna come out like any moment now. Like you just feel like something is inching behind you. But yeah, so for SavePoint, like what should SavePoint's horror film be?
I heard a lot about Conjuring being a really good movie. That's all I can say.
I don't mind going with The Conjuring. I saw the ending of Ready or Not. To be honest, I'm not the biggest horror film guy, just because I find them to be very samey. Like The Conjuring was one of the more recent ones where I thought it broke the mold, and I actually like Nick said, I actually enjoyed the plot, and I thought it was like different versus everything where it's like a jump scare or your typical cliche horror movie.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess we can go with Conjuring, the first one, because the first one was better than the other ones. Let's be honest.
Oh
Agreed.
yeah, 2 points for Nick.
Okay, so those were our best horror/thriller movies. So now what's the worst horror?
So I think I should start off here because we all so we all have a theme here and it's all the same. So for the worst, I just said every single one of the Conjuring spin-offs that came after the Conjuring. That to me, I'm including Annabelle. I'm including The Nun. I'm including The Curse of La Llorona. I'm including all of them. I think they're all trash, and I think they're trying so hard to make like a Avengers style franchise out of this. Like, what are they gonna do? It's like oh, like here comes Annabelle, here comes La Llorona. They're all gonna face Thanos. But I just thought they were all trash.
I was with you until you said Annabelle. I really like Annabelle, the second one for Annabelle. Creation? That movie to me was really good. But my worst film was The Nun, which is part of the Conjuring universe, like Stevie said. This movie was complete trash. I went to go see it with my friends, and like I would assume she would get scared, but she didn't flinch at all. And at the very end, we're just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck did we just watch? We just wasted an hour and 20 minutes watching this trash film. Who tried to make like try to set up for like The Nun 2, but they failed in every aspect. It wasn't scary at all. I was just like, damn, this movie sucks. Like I was just like drawn out from the whole experience.
Yeah, I think I actually watched that one and I felt the same. But my movie that I chose was actually The Curse of La Llorona. I don't know, I also pretty much feel the same way as George did about The Nun. I thought I was just complete trash. Also, like, for me, or like Hispanic people, or I assume it's all Mexicans, but I don't know. Like, your moms always tell you, like, oh, go to sleep or stop crying, because then La Llorona's gonna come for you. So it's like, for me, I was really hyped for this movie, not from the title, not from the trailers, but like what they could do with it. But whenever I watched the trailer, I was like, nah, this ain't gonna be good. But I just gotta watch it because of the name. And then I watched it, and I was like, why did I watch this? Why? But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
So can we come to a consensus of like the worst movie? Yeah, I mean they're technically all the same movie, but if we had to name one,
I'm okay with The Nun. Like I saw that one, and it was just bad. Just the Conjuring cinematic universe. That's so funny.
I mean, I'm down with selecting that one if we're going with that.
Okay. So Nick 2 and me 1. Lucio 1.
So watch The Conjuring. Don't watch any other of the cinematic universe.
Just watch the first one. Okay, so the next genre we're going to talk about is comedy.
Well, I feel like we'll start off with saying that I feel like we have similar but also very different taste in comedy. But my two are actually Rush Hour, which is, I don't know when it came out. It's been a while, but it has Jackie Chan, and Chris Tucker. I believe that's how you say his name.
Yeah, Chris Tucker.
And I thought it's a really fun movie. It has like some action, like some martial arts, but it has a lot of funniness, funny scenes everywhere. And Rush Hour has 1, 2, and 3, and I think they're all pretty fun or funny. They're pretty all good movies. Pretty much just detectives being detectives, but they're all just really funny throughout the whole movie. And then my second movie, and I just put it in here just because of more nostalgia factor. Like Scary Movie 1, like the first Scary Movie. I thought it was really good. Of course, this more also like The Matrix, where it was like back then. Like I think I went back to see it, and I was not really laughing as much. But I thought it was really funny back then, so I was like, let me put this on. I think it's definitely a cool watch. if you haven't seen it. I don't know how it'd be if you haven't seen it like right now and you watch it, but back then I definitely really liked it.
For my comedy or for my favorite movies, so I decided to go with This Is the End, 2013's This Is the End. In my opinion, this is a really funny movie. I've seen it like at least 3 times, and everything about it I love from start to beginning. It's really funny with the like how these comedy people or these actors have like a little clique. Like Adam Sandler has the who are they? It's Steve Buscemi, David Spade, Chris Rock, and like Kevin James. Like they're always in a movie together. Well, for the most part, they're always with each other. Well, Seth Rogen has his own clique, which is it has I just went blank on their names, but
James Franco.
yeah, James Franco, Dave Franco sometimes,
Danny McBride and Jonah Hill.
yeah, Jonah Hill, etc. So like I like their clique a little bit more since they're quote unquote edgier, and yeah, like This Is the End. It's just a post-apocalyptic like world where basically it's the rapture is happening, and all these comedians who are portraying themselves but an exaggerated version of themselves are trying to survive with their egotistical like lifestyle. So I love this movie. My second movie is The Interview, which is also Seth Rogen like part of their clique. It features Seth Rogen and James Franco, and basically it's just James Franco is a really renowned reporter, and he's going to interview the North Korean president or prime minister or dictator or whatever. And yeah, that's just the entire premise. Like they just go interview him, and shit hits the fan, and they have to escape North Korea. But both these movies, in my opinion, are really funny and really fun to. It's like a fun watch with a group of people drinking, etc.
So comedy is probably one of my favorite like genres. If you go through all of my video collections, it's mostly comedy that you're gonna find. When coming up with my top two, I kept going back and forth on a lot of movies, but one kept coming back up, and so I figured if it came back up that many times, I had to pick it, and that's Happy Gilmore. I can quote that movie front to back like nobody's business. Like I had it on cassette, like I had it on VCR, and it would stay in my VCR. It was like a TV VCR so combo, and it would stay in there, and before I went to bed I would press play and I would go to sleep. I'd be listening to what is it, Leonard Skinner's Tuesday's Gone, which is the intro song in that movie, like almost every night. So I love this movie. It also has a young Claire Dunphy from Modern Family, which is really funny to see now. She looks so young. And then for my honorable mention, I picked Malibu's Most Wanted. Again, another one of those highly quotable, highly rewatchable. Like every time I see it, I just like laughing out loud. Even today, I just can't get enough. It's just Jamie Kennedy, just for like very white Jamie Kennedy. just acting very gangster, and it's just hilarious. I can't get enough of it. Bill Gluckman down with the bitches and the hoes. that part always makes me crack up. Yeah, those are my top two.
I guess I'll start off by saying, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but This Is the End now. At least for me. And I can say more in a little while.
I like The Interview more than I like This Is the End. Actually,
yeah, so I was gonna say that, but I still am not a big fan of The Interview personally. Like I like it better than This Is the End, but still not a like. I rather watch Happy Gilmore over those two. Malibu Most Wanted, I just looked it up and it seems like I've seen it, but I don't remember it. So I can't say much about that. So to me, like Happy Gilmore would be from y'all's four, the one that I would like from y'all's four. But just saying, like, I think Happy Gilmore is the one that says like, "You can do it," right? Or is that a different one?
No, that's
Or-
No, that's-
every Adam Sandler movie.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. It started in The Waterboy.
Oh, and
Yeah.
the
Waterboy
Damn.
was the first one. That was Rob Schneider in The
Yeah.
Waterboy. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm an
okay.
Adam
I
Sandler
just remember
fanboy.
seeing this one with my dad a lot. But yeah, I know I've seen this one and it's pretty funny. But it's been a
I gotta
long time
say-
since I've seen it.
I love Rush Hour, and I also really love the Scary Movie franchise. I think number 2 is it's hard to debate. I really love number 2 over number 1, but they both have very very cool things. I actually even love number 3. Number 3 I think is hilarious. Like they make fun of 8 Mile, and then they have the aliens, and you have what's his name? The one from Naked Gun. He's the president. He just makes that movie so much funnier. But I love all the scary movies. It was very hard. Like I was jumping back and forth between a lot of scary movies, but I ended up going with Happy Gilmore because, like I said, it kept coming back up, and I just love this Adam Sandler. Like that was one of the first movies I loved Adam Sandler, and like I said, I can literally quote everything from that movie, so I had to.
For me, I've seen Rush Hour. I grew up watching Rush Hour with my grandma, so like I would always continue watching. She loved Jackie Chan, so anything with Jackie Chan, like we would go out of our way to go watch it. And like this movie was pretty funny. It was a really good movie. Scary Movie 1, 2, like how many are there? There's 4 of them, right? Like I don't know. It's kind
There's
of
5. There's actually 5. The 5th one is pretty bad. That one had Ashley Tisdale as the lead. if that puts into perspective of it.
yeah. I mean, Scary Movie. It's really cheesy in my opinion. I don't like it. The whole franchise as a whole. The first one, I guess you could get away with it because it was the first one, but I don't know. I kind of did. I really didn't like it. Happy Gilmore. That one I could get behind because I've probably seen this movie at least 4 to 5 times because they always play it on TV. Like that's one of those movies that's always replaying during the holidays. Like you just go home and you just watch it, and you just turn on TV and it just so happens to be on. And always at the part where he's getting what's it called? Adam Sandler's getting his ass kicked by the host of The Price is Right. What was his name?
Bob Barker.
Yeah, Bob Barker. He always gets always at that same point. I always turn on the TV and he's getting his ass kicked by Bob Barker.
You can't change the channel at that point. You gotta just leave it there. I love it because like depending on what channel you're watching it on, like they'll change it. It's like you're gonna get it, Bobby. Like, they always have like those weird like voiceovers.
Yeah. And the parts where like he misses the hole, and he's like, "Get in the hole!" Like he starts screaming.
Kiss my white ass ball.
Yeah.
So I think we have a winner.
Yeah, because I mean, I haven't seen Malibu Most Wanted. I understand that Jamie Kennedy was a really big figure in the 90s and the early 2000s, but I mean, he fell off, Sean. Like, I guess I was too young to appreciate his type of humor. So I think I would go with Happy Gilmore. My vote.
I was like, if I can't vote for my own, then yeah, I would choose Happy Gilmore. Otherwise, I choose Rush Hour.
I'll
No,
take that
you can't
point.
vote for yourself. Okay, so SavePoint's stamp of approval goes to ding 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 Happy Gilmore. So now for the worst movie in comedy. Who wants to kick it off?
I can start. The worst movie, in my opinion, is This Is the End. That movie was so bad. I went to go watch it in the movie theater, and I was there, right? I'm like, okay, I don't know what to expect from this movie at all. I get there, I'm watching it. I feel like I'm in my living room, and I'm just like texting. Like, I never texted in a movie theater. But this movie got me so bored that like I had to take out my phone. I was like, dude, this movie just started. I'm already like bored in this movie. And to me, I just didn't like it at all. Like I wanted to walk out of the movie theater, but I don't do that. And I think I was with some friends. I honestly don't remember if I went to
I
go
was
watch
there
it
with
you.
you. I went to go see
Okay.
that movie with you. Yeah.
And I honestly, I was like, nah, this is bad. I'm just gonna stay here and put up with this. But I mean, I was watching it, I laughed sometimes, but I just didn't like the movie at all. Like, I felt like they lost me a lot of the time of that movie. Like sometimes they get me and then I just lose again. Like it just feels like a movie you just watch on the couch, not a movie you go watch in a movie theater. That's what it was for me.
Okay, so for my choice, it's this really old movie. I'm pretty sure you guys haven't seen it, but it's called Land of the Lost. And it's with Will Ferrell. I remember watching this one day after high school. I was a freshman in high school. 2009, that's when this movie came out. And if I remember correctly, I snuck into this movie with my mom. That's how cool we were, I guess. Like, we snuck in, and I was just like, this movie is trash. Can we just leave? Like, it was just so dumb. The whole premise of the movie was just like, he's an archaeologist, and he believes that there's a wormhole that so happened to be in this certain location, which was like a little kiddie park. And it was dumb. It was really bad acting. Will Ferrell did a horrible job in that movie. It had Danny McBride, and he tried. I mean, he's a good actor in my opinion, but he doesn't do well in this film. But, I mean, that was what he was given, like the script that was complete trash. So that's my choice for worst movie.
Yeah, I think that was in the time of Will Ferrell's career when he did, because he did this one and then he did Bewitched. So all of those classic TV shows that they decided to make movies out of, like Land of the Lost was a classic TV show, too. But yeah, I agree that I never saw it, but I always see that poster and that poster just looks dumb. For my worst movie in the comedy genre, it's got to be Bruno. If you guys don't remember or aren't familiar with Bruno, it's from Sacha Baron Cohen, and it was his flamboyantly homosexual character, and it was extremely offensive and just like not funny. Like the jokes that were in it, they were completely for 2009. This movie came out in 2009. For all there was, like it was just outdated and just, like I said, just wasn't funny. Like some things, like sometimes offensive things, like yeah, they just don't come across well at all. And it was just like I can't even remember some of the jokes because like we walked out. I went with a group of friends because we really enjoyed Borat, and we thought Borat's another like very funny movie, but we literally had to walk. We walked out of the theater and we got our money back. Like that's how bad that was. The first time I'd ever done that, and I was just like, "Yeah, this movie's bad, like really bad."
Yeah, I guess I've never heard of y'all's movies before.
Well, that's how trash they are, Nick.
Yeah. Picking a consensus worse is very hard because like unless it's something that's just we revere as bad together, but I think we can agree to disagree on this one.
Like, I've never seen Bruno. That was like of my freshman year. It's rated R. I don't think I was allowed to watch it because I was so young. So like I can't say. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't say it's the worst movie. This is the end. Obviously, that's my best comedy movie, so I can't go with that.
Clearly, you have to choose it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to disagree with Nick that it's boring, or it felt like something that you had to go watch. It felt something that you watch at home, because in my opinion, in like the movie theater enhances the severity of everything that's going on in the film. And I don't know. Everyone's acting was pretty well because they had to portray themselves but exaggerated. I don't know. I digress because I know Nick picked these movies because I like them. That's why he picked them.
I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of this at the end. Also, like the more we talk about what is it, Seth Rogen movies, like I didn't like Sausage Party either.
I didn't like that movie either. Yeah.
Sausage Party could also go on this list of movies to stay away from. It's just
I forgot about that movie. Yeah,
it's just dick jokes, like, and just it's animated and it's bad.
Okay, I think I changed my vote. That one's the worst movie, Sausage Party. That movie was trash. I agree with you. It was it was really awkward, that movie. Because it's just like a bunch of dick jokes, and I don't know. We get it. Like the first 5 minutes was funny, but then they continue going on with the dick jokes.
Yeah, it's like oh, you got the sausage and the buns, and what are we gonna do?
Yeah. But yeah, like basically, when I was watching this film, I'm just like, man, these people just made this movie just because they can, not because it was like a passion thing. It's just because they can do it. They just want to see how far they could get away with.
I'd pay to see George watch that with his mom. It'd be so awkward.
Yeah, that movie's weird. But can we come to the consensus with that Sausage Party is the worst movie?
I don't think Nick's seen it, but I can agree with you.
I've never seen it.
All right, I guess we'll just agree to disagree. Okay, so
And I really didn't see it because I assumed it was going to be complete trash. My guess was correct.
yeah, I mean that movie was really bad. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna talk about for movie genres is well, this is not technically a genre. We're just gonna talk about our favorite movie of all time. So my favorite movie of all time is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from 2018. This movie, I love this movie. The whole art style, the Miles Morales, like this African / Puerto Rican Spider-Man. I love it. I love all this stuff. And they had Nicolas Cage in it, the Spider-Man Noir. That's really cool. All the different types of Spider-Man. Like everything about it was amazing. I love this movie. And my runner-up was The Cabin in the Woods. This movie, I love this movie so much. It's like one of those movies that you just pop in during Halloween because it's one of those it diverts expectation because you go in thinking it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be a really like a horror movie, like a cliche horror movie. But no, in reality, it brings back. It's a comedy that's also a horror movie, but it brings all the aspects of all like tropes, like horror tropes. Like they make fun of like the virgin, the jock, the weed guy, the smoker dude, the jock's best friend and stuff like that. So like, oh, the blonde girl, they make fun of all the tropes. On top of this, they also make fun of the Japanese tropes and all these different like curses and whatnot. So both these movies are pretty amazing. I love them both, and I Spider-Man just inches a little bit more than Cabin in the Woods for me, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, so for my picks of the best or my favorite movies of all time, and I probably could have classified these movies as one of the other categories, but I wanted to make a point to say like these don't just fit in the one category, like action or comedy or whatever. Like I picked these movies as my favorite because one, like I think as a whole, like action plus story plus like acting, like they're just really good movies, and they're just movies I can rewatch at any time. So I'll start with honorable mention. My honorable mention was The Warriors. I love The Warriors. It's a very old, gritty, like what is it, 70s film, and just the music in it's great. Like the wardrobe, the costuming is great. It's about New York street gangs, and they're trying to form a coalition of the street gangs. And there's like they have like a prophet who's trying to bring unity to all the gangs, and then he gets assassinated, and then all the gangs go just go crazy. They're trying, and then like people are pointing fingers on who done it, and it just follows the warriors as they travel from New York back to Coney Island, and it's really cool. They literally ran. Like when filming this, they ran from New York to Coney Island, like back, like they had to, like they did so many days where they were just running on film. Like I think I can't remember, but they ran like so many miles on film, so they had to be like in shape and all this stuff. And it has like the baseball furies, which are really cool. Like they're really dumb, but they just look so cool. And like also like the fighting in this movie is really bad, but it makes me laugh. But it's just really enjoyable to watch. But yeah, it's just very classic. And then for my best movie, my favorite of all time is gotta be The Dark Knight. It just hits every level for me. I love Batman as like a comic book hero. I love the Christopher Nolan universe that he put together. Heath Ledger's just acting as the Joker is just top notch. From the intro cinematic to the ending, this movie just has it all. I just enjoy so many aspects of that movie. Um, the Batman in this movie, it's Christian Bale, if I'm not mistaken. He makes me laugh because of his Batman voice, but man, they just do a lot of cool things with this movie. They just lead in so many things from the Batman universe, and I think overall it just was great.
Yeah, for me, this is pretty much something that's kind of impossible to do, in my opinion. So I just went with what came out of my head, and everybody did two things. One would write three, but two are kind of the same, depending on how you think about it. So I'm gonna start off with John Wick, and for me, it's just John Wick, the franchise. Like all of them to me are just really good. So whether you would just say the franchise or the first one, I like them all. I know I already talked about it, and everybody's trying to choose something different, but no, I mean I like it, so that's why I chose it. And the second thing I went with is the Iron Man movies. I really like the Iron Man, the character itself, and the movies as well. And I guess I love the Avengers a lot, so I like Iron Man and Captain America, and that's why the other movie I said was Civil War, Captain America Civil War, which is essentially Iron Man versus Captain America. And I guess in terms of these movies, they're both just about Avengers, right? One's about Iron Man, a guy with a lot of money that then makes a suit and is able to take out bad guys pretty much with it, and he can do essentially anything. He has a lot of money. Then Civil War is, you would have to watch a couple other movies to be able to piece it together. But essentially it's Iron Man versus Captain America versus, like, it has other guys in there too. So I don't know what other movies you would have to watch to actually be able to watch Captain America Civil War and make full sense of it. But I think it has a great action-packed movie. And I felt like Civil War had so much to give compared to some of the other Avenger movies or just Captain America movies / Iron Man. But I really enjoy it, and I think everybody would enjoy these movies. But of course, they're mainly action movies. I will say that. But that's my picks.
So I will say that The Dark Knight is a really good movie. Christian Bale does a outstanding job as Batman. And Heath Ledger does even a better job as Joker. And his performance was phenomenal. Like, he won a Grammys or Oscars or whatever. He won all these awards after he passed away, and it still holds up to this date. Warriors. The only thing I remember about the Warriors is that there's a scene in the movie where it's some kid with some Coke bottles or some bottles, and he's just saying "Warriors," and you just hear clinging. That's all I remember about Warriors. John Wick. Well, John Wick's a good movie. Iron Man, Civil War. I'll agree with you that Civil War is the best Captain America film. But I don't know. Like, I like the first Iron Man as well. Like the first original Iron Man, where it originated from.
Well, I meant both of them. I like both. It was Iron Man, even though it's only supposed to be two, but I said Iron Man the movie as in Iron Man 1, and then Civil War, which is technically Captain America Civil War.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Civil War, but that one has so many films behind it. It has all these build up and all these things and all this premise. So, like, in reality, it's not just one movie. It's just like the whole cinematic Marvel universe that you had to watch so you could further your enjoyment from this film alone. So it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of films. So I mean, I can understand why it's your favorite movie of all time, but still, like, there's a lot of films behind it.
If I'm gonna put, if I had to pick one Marvel movie, it would actually be it wouldn't be either of those. I do really enjoy Civil War, but as like standalone movies, I really enjoy Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange was one of the better ones, and I really enjoyed the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that one was just a really good, just fun, different movie. Like the soundtrack, like Chris Pratt. We put Chris Pratt on the map. He did Jurassic World because of that movie. He would not have done Jurassic World had he done not done Guardians of the Galaxy. But I really enjoyed that. But Civil War is great. I think I love the airport scene of Civil War. Like that's a great scene. But however, as a movie as a whole, I even like the Winter Soldier better than Civil War. Actually, I like the second Captain America movie better. That's in my opinion. Into the Spider-Verse, I gotta be honest. I had it on while I was working, and I was like, oh, like I'll just like watch it. I need to rewatch it and like sit down and pay attention to it because like I just couldn't do it. And I have seen Cabin in the Woods. I like Cabin in the Woods, but I don't know if I'd put it up there even in, like my personal top movies of all time.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about John Wick.
Yeah, like for me, The Dark Knight, I mean, it's a good movie. The Warriors, I don't know if I've ever seen it. I know of it. Like, I know the picture that comes to my mind when I hear the name. I don't know if I've ever seen it, though. The Cabin in the Woods, it's, like, enjoyable, but like you said, I wouldn't put it up there in anything. I'd, like, watch it if it's on sometimes. I really liked Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I thought it was really good. I haven't really rewatched it that many times, but I mean, it's definitely a good watch. So like, I guess it was for me, I'd be like between Dark Knight and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If I can't vote for mine, right?
Yeah, you can't vote for yours.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think we could leave it for our own personal bests here.
Okay.
I think we just have too differing of opinions here.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, I mean, we recommend these movies. These are our opinions, best movies, so you guys can watch. So, for the worst movie of all time that we've ever watched, my movie that I hate the most with a passion, and I always tell my friends to avoid this specific film. It's called Assassination Nation. This movie is really bad. Like, you thought that I was molding with the other films. Holy crap. This movie, 2018, this movie is like really bad. Let me just set the mood for you. Like, it begins with a trigger warning, okay? That's how like woke this movie is, quote unquote. And then it goes on with saying about like a bunch of hacking. Well, like, these writers don't know anything about like computer science. So like the premise of the movie is like this little kid is hacking the entire town, and he hacks all their devices and all their stuff is out in the internet so anyone could witness what happened. So the premise is, I guess, it's already been done. It's okay, I guess. So the story gets like, it's okay. Where it does shine is its cinematography. Though, like, it was really well shot. Like, there's some really beautiful long shots. And long shots are just like one continuous shot that it just shows the whole scenery and stuff like that, and everyone's acting. But where it takes the turn is the acting. The acting was complete trash. All the girls that were in it were really bad actors. The guys that were in it were really bad actors. Everyone in general was just like, I'm doing this for the paycheck, and that's it. And they checked out the second they went through the door. So this movie is complete trash. Don't watch it.
For me, I'll come clean. I haven't watched all of these movies, and in fact, I feel like I haven't even watched one. I went to the movies. I went to the movies to watch this with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm pretty sure this is why she broke up with me, because I couldn't stop making fun of this movie while we were watching it. And that movie is Twilight. Specifically, the one I went to go see in the theaters was the very last one. And she was definitely extremely upset because I could not stop laughing. And specifically, I couldn't stop laughing because there's a part in the movie, because I came in knowing nothing about the franchise, knowing nothing about the movie, which is probably my fault. Like, I should have done my research, I guess. But what really bothered me was that like they had like the whole like the Wolf Clan or whatever. I don't even know what the heck they're called, but what's his name? Taylor Lautner, is that his name?
Yeah, Taylor Lautner.
Yeah, so his dad in the movie is like in a wheelchair, and I was like, wait a minute, because he's able to switch into a wolf, and he switches into a wolf. I was like, wait a minute, so your legs don't work like when you're a person, but your legs work when you're a wolf. I don't get that, and I couldn't get past that fact for the entire movie, and I just kept cracking myself up every time I would see it. But I just couldn't pay attention to that movie, and the franchise just didn't make any sense. I know that the books are very popular, but man, it just was so bad to me.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if honestly I could come up with one, but I just went with this one because I kept saying it's complete trash. So, and you wouldn't watch it in the movie theater, and I wouldn't even watch it at home personally. But This Is the End is what I chose. I really did not, as you can tell, did not like this movie at all. I would never watch this movie again. And I would always tell anybody not to watch it, even though George would say otherwise. But yeah, no, this is what I went with. I feel like, to me, I don't know, whenever there's a worse movie, I usually don't remember it because it's so bad. So, yeah.
Okay, can we get to a consensus of what's the worst movie? Or we're just gonna agree to disagree again?
I think we're gonna agree to stay away from these movies.
Okay, that's fair enough. So I mean, that pretty much wraps it up. So for our action SavePoint pick is John Wick, any John Wick. Horror and thriller is the first Conjuring. Comedy is Happy Gilmore. And for the favorite movie of all time, we couldn't come to consensus. So just enjoy film. That's the whole message for this whole podcast. You like what you like, and if it brings enjoyment to your life, and then that's good for you, man. Like, just enjoy what you like.
Yeah, I would say try to get together with some friends via Discord or Zoom or however. Just try to host some watch parties, while we're still in quarantine. Just interact with your friends and remember what it felt like to be outside.
Yeah, definitely. And just a quick reminder, it was a tie between Nick and Stevie, 2-2. George got 1 point. That's it. Just wanted to lay that out.
Okay, Nick. Okay, I see.
We'll have to find a tiebreaker next time.
Well, hopefully now you guys have a bunch of films to watch. If you haven't watched any of these are really well-made films, and we encourage you guys to watch this. And for the most part, hopefully everyone's staying safe and stay indoors.
This is SavePoint signing off.